Hi. Hi. You are probably a mother. And if you are not, you certainly have one because we all have mothers. So, what about your relationship with your mother? Because it is so impactful and affecting every other relationship that we have. That's extremely interesting as a fact, isn't it? Welcome. This is the Boundary Breakers Collective talk show. And as usual, we are going to shift some things here. My name is Helena de Munk. I'm your host. I'm a transformation guide for smart, conscious, and high achieving women. And I'm thrilled to be here today with Ashleigh Sinclaire. And she is a transformational storyteller, a relationship mentor, and irreverent provocateur. Unimaginable heartbreak and loss, losing her sisters to cancer and suicide within 3 days of each other, Ashleigh became her mother's sole caretaker overnight and moved her from Florida to Colorado and into her home. In the 4 years that they lived together, Ashleigh's mom got healthier, happier, and more stable than she had been in decades. She describes this time as excruciating to extraordinary and shares her story with vulnerability, grace, and humor in her inspiring and engaging one woman show, The Mother Monologues, a Love Story. Ashley understands now how this one relationship, unexamined, is the invisible stress that affects all relationships and understands the profound importance and impact of healing this relationship. And she has created a mentoring program called the Mother Codes, a highly experimental program that guides and facilitates courageous, intelligent, inspired women to heal and transform their mother relationship. Ashley, welcome to the Boundary Breakers Collective talk show. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you and your
Yeah, we
audience.
just had a little intake conversation before and we already started. We said we should have been recording already because there are so many ways that we can break boundaries. And you mentioned some, and I said, hey, we only have 35, 50, 40 minutes, so we cannot do all this. So we might have other episodes in order to deal with them. But let me start with this question. Why are you a boundary breaker?
Hmm. Love the question. I think number one, in relation to the mother relationship, it's because at 25 years old, I looked at my mother at that time and realized, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to, she doesn't have this capacity to heal with me.
Mm,
And I'm a tenacious type of woman. And I'm like, I don't want that to stop my healing. I don't want to be held almost hostage to what I perceived as her lack of capacity to heal between
mhm,
us. And so
mhm.
I just continued on my healing journey to heal it.
Yeah.
And I did to a certain point.
Which is pretty extraordinary, isn't it? Because we all feel that if we have relationships that are not ideal, not perfect, not good, or simply bad or toxic, we feel like we need the other person in order to heal or in order to solve or resolve or whatever we want to achieve there. We don't feel that we can do this on our own. So, how did you get to this solo healing path?
Mm. Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest myths that we hold, that to your point, exactly, of we have to be able to do it with the person,
Mhm.
right? And the reality is what I've discovered, learned in my 33 something year journey is my relationship within me with anybody is my relationship. We often, more than not, don't have shared realities of the relationship with each other.
Mhm.
I have my wounding, therefore, I have my perspective of how I'm interpreting, hearing, and seeing and feeling things.
Yeah.
And so it's actually much more efficient to just focus on yourself and healing yourself and then come to that person. There's so much less charge, like emotional charge, once you work with yourself than with the person. And so I use now, when like triggers happen now for me, I get excited. I call it actually free therapy.
Mm.
Because what I do is I like go home, like literally and figuratively, right? Home and my home. And I work with myself to uncover what are the emotional dynamics that are happening within me and
Mm.
where are they connected to my past? Because they always are. They always
Mhm.
are. And I heal that. And then what I find every single time when I come back to the person, it's more of, instead of here's my boundary and I need this from you and all of that, it's what in the future I have a request. When you show up 30 minutes late, could you just acknowledge that? And or maybe I'll bring it.
Mm.
Something that happened, a friend of mine and I had plans to meet, and he shows up 30 minutes late. No acknowledgement.
Mm.
Just triggered me. So I got quiet inside because I'm like, oh my God, I'm managing my anger and blah, 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 right? We continue with our evening. And then the next day, I was with that and connected the dots to actually a moment with my father where he
Mm.
didn't acknowledge something that was so obvious to acknowledge when I was like 12 years old. Oh my, this is precious, delicious. And I felt those feelings from when I was 12 years old that had not been metabolized yet. They were
Mhm.
still hanging out in me. That's why I froze, because I did then metabolized it. Then when I came back and talked to my friend here, current reality, I just said, wow, that I don't even remember exactly what I said. But I was like, you did that. This is what happened for me. In the future, can you just say, hey, sorry for I'm 30 minutes late. Let's just
Mm.
boom, easy, done.
Yeah. But the emotional trigger was gone because you had been able to relate it to something that was happening in your past and that triggered it. And
And yeah, and I
could
call that,
undo that.
yep,
Mm.
and I call that fully digesting and metabolizing emotions. Because
Yeah.
the fact is, if we don't, it's clouding our perspective, it's
Mhm.
clouding vision in
Yeah.
every relationship.
Yeah, I understand. Though I think there's a lot of people who do not have like the reflection capacity to
Mhm.
do that. There, some things happen in certain relationships and they go in their reptilian brain and they go in fight, flight, or paralyze, and nothing happens. And it's not a good place to be. Reflection absolutely doesn't happen there. What is it that you could use in order to stay present in that situation and go back to explore where this come from?
Right. Yeah, great question. When something's triggering you present day, you have to recognize it. You have to know, I want to launch at this person, I want to yell at this person, or I'm in freeze. You have to start like raising your awareness of
Mm-hmm.
yourself. I
Yeah.
don't feel like me right now because something else is happening, right? Being able to name it is very powerful. If you
Mm.
can, even if you can just say, I'm feeling triggered right now, to yourself and even with the person, very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you go home, what I do is, and this is 30 years of getting to this point, is I ask myself, I name the emotions I'm feeling. I start feeling them.
Mm.
And then I ask myself, when have I felt like this before?
Mm.
And you wait. And picture will come up. Oh, I was 12 with my dad at the airport. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Same emotions, different storylines.
Yeah,
Drop the stories. They're just a distraction. They just help you to get there. And then feel the emotions. And here's the way you know that you've fully digested it. You feel an internal release in you, and you're just feeling more joy, more love, more delight.
yeah,
If you don't get there, just trust another situation will come in your life to knock on the door to give you the opportunity to fully digest it again. It's okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
And sometimes you need someone to work. It's like a muscle. It's like an
Mm.
emotional muscle, emotional capacity muscle. I couldn't
Yeah.
do this in my 20s. I needed
Right.
help
Yeah.
to do it. And trust me, I didn't want to go there. I was like, whenever we got anywhere close, I would just bring in humor and distract my therapist with the humor. And I was good at it.
Yeah.
And she was tenacious. So she was good at her. And
Absolutely.
then I learned. And so
Yeah.
now that's part of my work now because it's just been the secret sauce.
Yeah. Yeah, I recognize that. It's not only with individual events or situations where something is triggered, it's also with patterns. Sometimes we just become aware that we are running patterns in
Yes.
certain kind of relationships and that things happen over and over again, and we have no clue. And there's a lot of possibilities and potential doing inner child work or intergenerational work in order to see where this is coming from. And it's like you say, if you don't go back there, even if it is uncomfortable, because it is like breaking some boundaries, it is the breaking the boundary also of comfort, of
Yeah.
not going into these zones that make us feel whatever you it makes you feel. But as
Mhm.
long as you don't do it, you keep repeating
Yes.
the event, or the universe makes you repeat the event, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
And it's a cycles, it's a
Yeah.
circle, and it takes courage indeed to do that. And
Mm.
I also believe, like you say, it also takes a coach or a therapist, depending on what it is, or how
Right.
strong or heavy it is, or how deep it is, to help you and to shine a light on these shadow sides and these things
Mhm.
that we prefer not to uncover.
Yeah.
But
And it's
it's not
just
because that they're uncovered that they're not there and that they're
right. And
not.
it's just undigested. It's like the undigested past. That's all it is. Not a
Mm,
big deal. Okay.
yeah,
And it's not like you have to. And I think people carry this huge fear that, oh my God, I can't open that up because I feel like I'd be violent, or if I open that up, I'll never stop crying. And I get that because in my 20s, trust me, I was there.
mm,
Oh no, and I watched my mother be there for most of her life. And both of us learned, no, it's just a fear. Most of the time, fears are not real, but they
mm,
really feel like it.
absolutely,
And again, it's you're in charge. You
exactly.
titrate how much. And another key piece is if your body is releasing emotions and bringing certain things up into your attention, it's your body wisdom saying it's ready to be released. It's ready to
Exactly.
be felt. You don't have to go through the whole experience again, but you do have
Mm,
to touch it
mhm,
and stay with it a little bit, and then it will release. The
mm,
body wisdom, like I'm still blown away by it.
mm.
Still blown away. And that's what we can trust is if it's being presented either here or coming up within you, you can trust it's ready to.
Be released, yes.
And the
Yeah.
worst thing I think people can do is they get triggered, then they tell a friend, and then the friend's, yeah, making that person wrong.
Mm,
Worst thing, because then you stay locked in yourself.
yeah. Absolutely.
Instead of being curious,
Yeah.
why am I
Mhm.
feeling this way?
Yeah, exactly. I was reading recently, I think it was in the book of Power versus Force, that all events, all actions, everything is either fear driven or love driven. And fear driven is like indeed going into this contraction, going in protect mode and block. And love driven is feeling the trust that things will be released and that things will be dissolved without too much energy. And
Yes.
I'm not talking about deep trauma here because I understand that for people who have been in extremely deep trauma, this might sound okay. We are not taken seriously, and that's absolutely not the idea. We are talking about the things that happen to all of us, like almost every day.
So
Yeah,
many mini
exactly.
traumas.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the mini
Exactly.
traumas, the mini dramas, the things that keep us from being fully present, being fully in flow, that can be so easily dissolved, basically. And that's an invitation to all of you watching this or listening in to be open for this, to be curious and to just go and explore what it brings. And if that is a hard thing to do on your own, just to look for some help, just to look for some help to do that. There's enough people that can support you in that. And especially there's enough professional people, professionally trained people that can support you in that. Absolutely. Because this is also what you do, Ashleigh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Mm,
would say somatic therapy is my
mm.
foundation, among
Yeah.
some other things. Um,
Hmm.
but that's huge. That's the
Yeah.
best. Talk therapy,
Yeah.
it doesn't release anything in the body, and that's where the trauma
Exactly.
is stored.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like such a devoted to the body wisdom and
Yeah.
listening to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful. Yeah, I was so lucky last weekend to experience an energetic foot reflexology treatment. And it was a friend and somebody that I work with as a kind of business partner. And she said, I will work on your back and I will put some energetic work in it. And it was amazing what came out literally, what was released through this energetic and somatic work. It is amazing. And how can I say that? Every time, again, I'm surprised by it. I do a lot of breath work, also transformational breath work. Every time I do that, I'm so surprised about how this releases a lot of unconscious because it basically body work and energetic work, it works on the unconscious and on the subconscious. And we don't really have access to that. We try to analyze everything and to understand
Mm.
everything and to judge everything, and we go in the right and wrong, and the body and the subconscious doesn't know right and wrong. It just knows what is going on and how
Just
it
knows
is
what is. It just,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you have no experience in that and you say this is, I would invite everybody just to try it and to have the experience because it is inexplicable. You have to do it in order to know it. I would
Yeah.
say to understand it, but that's not right. You have to do it in order to know what it does. And you don't need to understand it. You just feel the,
Exactly. Because my vision, I would say, in doing the work that I'm doing now, which really is my life's work, after going through everything I did to this moment, including and especially with my mother, my life's work literally presented itself to me. And one of the things that got very uh, let's see. I know we're going to be editing this. One of the things that got very relevant for me and like very, no, I discovered through the journey with my mother that my relationship with myself is the number one relationship.
Mhm.
And it's not selfish. We get told that early on, and it's actually the opposite. Like learning how to care for myself,
Mhm.
like I call it radical self care.
Yeah. I like that
Right.
word.
Yeah, I have my 3 pillars: radical self-care, radical responsibility, for radical service.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's another boundary to break, to acknowledge that
Yes.
you are the
Radical.
most important person in your life.
Yes.
We have not been raised like that. We have not been educated like that. And I had that experience, or I had that story last week where I had a client coming here on a retreat because she was like exhausted, and she
Mhm.
felt very uncomfortable because her husband was not happy with the situation, because every Sunday he went on a biker store. And so this weekend that she came, that exact weekend, he had to take care of her daughter. And so he was
Mhm.
very upset that she
Mhm.
took one weekend for herself.
Mhm.
And this is something that happens all the time. We are not used to show up for ourselves. We are very good to show up for our children or for our partners or for our parents if we take care for our parents or for our team or whatever. And we have a very hard time showing up for ourselves, especially if somebody has a comment of that, then there's the guilt coming. There's a guilt,
Exactly.
there's a guilt. And
Exactly.
this is absolutely a boundary that we need to break. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fly that flag very high
Yeah.
of radical self-care is self-fullness, not
Yeah.
selfish.
Yeah.
Because as any family knows, when mom's doing good, everyone's doing good.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
beyond that, it's also, yes, we are the caretakers, we are the nurturers, and we have to do that for ourselves first.
Exactly.
It just is so lit up my life
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, in so many ways, and
Mm.
brought me the radical self-care, brought me clarity about myself in my relationships with my life's work. Because when
Mm.
mom came to live with me, when we made that choice, thank God I had already had 30 years of building a really strong foundation for myself, of learning how to take care of myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I did not. I did not. I was once a month, my rhythm was I called it head on a couch. And my husband at the time was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, this is just my body rhythm. This is what my body does." He's no. I'm like, I fought him with it because I watch you get tired and you push through, and then you get tired again and you push through and you get tired. I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why are we even having this conversation?" I thought he was crazy. No, it was me. I didn't
Mm.
realize pushing. Now, literally, my nervous system cannot push it. I
Mm-hmm.
can't push the river anymore.
Yeah.
Trust me, I did for many years.
We all did, and
Yeah,
many of us still
exactly.
do. We keep doing it
Exactly.
because we don't know the other way. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so another key thing for me that I learned, thank you to the first husband, is listening.
Mm.
Developing that inner listening
Mhm.
is, if you do nothing else for yourself, developing that inner listening of what is it that I need right now?
Yeah.
For my body, for my emotions, for my spiritual nature, like what is it? Or for my child, or what is the need? Like to listen and to hear it.
Mm.
Super,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
powerful.
It's very important. I would say it's like the pinnacle of self-care.
Yes.
And I would like to add also that self-care nowadays, there's a lot written and said about self-care, and it becomes a funny thing. Sometimes I ask people, what is it that you do in order to take care of yourself and to replenish and to rejuvenate? And then it's about, oh, I go to do paddle or I go to run, I prepare for a marathon.
Mm,
And then I say, and how is this self-care? Because
mhm.
again it's in the action, it's in the competition, it's in achieving something. It's not about just coming to yourself, connecting with yourself, and like you say, listening. What do I need?
Yeah. And
It's
there's
not
levels
about,
of care.
yeah.
There's levels. That is a level of self-care because I guess they enjoy it and it's
Mhm.
physical and endorphins and
Yeah.
all of this. Yeah, I get it. And there's levels and depths of,
Exactly.
for me, yes, that's a top layer. For me, radical self-care is the deeper
Exactly.
relationship, the listening, the
Mhm.
loving, the
Yeah.
being gentle and kind
Yeah.
to
It's the way how you talk to yourself, isn't it?
exactly. Like I say that in groups, are you gentle? And people are
Hmm.
like, to yourself, and people are like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that. They'll be
Hmm.
gentle to someone else.
Exactly.
No, here, because then
Yeah.
all of this becomes so much easier. It's just a fluid expression outwards. It
Hmm.
wasn't until everything I went through with my mother and being on the other side of it that I have experienced unconditional love for myself for the first
Hmm.
time that I can remember.
Yeah.
And therefore, I can unconditionally love in my relationships. That's why
Exactly.
I say the mother relationship is affecting all your relationships. It's the invisible stress in
Hmm.
life. If you've not used it as a lens, because that
Hmm.
is the most intimate relationship we all have, men
Yeah.
and women. We literally get born through her body. Come on.
Exactly.
So it's first human relationship, it's first experience of love. And therefore, it's also our first experience of perceived separation.
Absolutely.
So, how profound to use that. And just imagine if all of us, when we thought of our moms, had just loving kindness for her. Think about the ripple effect of that
Hmm.
in all of our relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What are a few steps to start with this practice, Ashley?
Yeah.
If people say, yes, this does resonate, I feel that there's work there to do.
Mm.
What are like the first steps that people can
Yeah.
take?
The first one I would say, because women tell me this a lot, and men, I work with some men as well, because they've got moms.
Exactly.
And I ask them, or they tell me, I don't feel seen by my mother. And I get that. I get
Hmm.
that. I understood. I lived that also. And then I ask, do you see her? And they go, oh, yeah. Who is she?
Hmm.
And here's the step. Who was she before she married your father? What kind of woman, young woman was she?
Hmm.
Do you have pictures of her when she was a little girl? Get one and look at the essence of who this person is.
Mm.
Talk to relatives that are alive. Ask them, what was my mother like? What do you remember?
Yeah.
And then see your mother if she's still alive. And you can still do this if your mom's passed too. See her, look at her through that lens
Yeah.
of who she is.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Mm.
powerful.
Absolutely. What comes to me now that is that we see our mother as our mother. And that is only one of the roles that she has and that she takes up. And some take up that role very intensely and they're like almost only a mother, and others are also a lot of other things. And then, of course, the attention and the focus and the time is a lot more divided, and maybe then we feel that we have less of a mother. But it's very interesting to look at our mother as the whole creature and the whole woman she is, because she's also somebody's daughter, somebody's friend. She might be an artist, she might be a professional, an entrepreneur, so many other things. But we look at our mother with a lens of the child.
Yeah.
And the way that you bring it here brings up with me, like you miss a lot of the dimensions of who that woman was or is.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That woman was a little girl and she was a young woman before a lot of drama and traumas hit her system and her nervous system.
Exactly. Mm.
Try to understand and see who she purely is. Because I will tell you, one thing I have experienced time and time again around death with family members, especially, there's a human part of them and there's just an eternal part of them.
Mm-hmm.
The human part and the angst and the pain evaporates as soon as they pass.
Yeah.
And what's left is the eternal. And a practice I like bringing into my life now is to see that eternal part of people, their true essence, before they die, while
Mm.
here, while I'm in,
Beautiful.
right? While I'm in relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
and be and interact, not to dismiss or avoid or deny the human part of them, of course not, but bring that into it, into the relationship as well. Yeah.
Mm. That's
And
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
thank you.
absolutely beautiful and well
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
And then I would say another step, and it's a big one, and not everyone can do it right away, but I like dropping it to start considering it because it's so powerful for you, is take your mother off the hook. Take her off the hook for the woulda, coulda, shouldas. They
Mm.
happen. You can't change that.
Mm.
That happened. It had its impact on you, but keeping her on the hook is keeping this energetic tension between the
Yeah.
two of you, which is interfering for any other possibility.
Mm.
And you're in charge of your end. So
Yeah.
those two steps can dramatically change the dynamic to open up so much more possibility, so much more true healing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. And not only in that relationship, but also in how you just show up in life and how you look at other relationships and how you participate in other relationships. Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's
And
beautiful.
then again, it comes back to, and it's tied to,
Mm.
that's self-care for you,
Mm.
radical self-care, and also radical responsibility. Saying, you
Yeah.
know what, I'm in charge of me, I'm in charge of my healing. I'm going to let, yeah, what happened, it happened. You can't go back and change when you were 6 years old.
Hmm.
You can do some stuff, but what happened and the impact happened. And
Yeah.
it just brings you, by releasing this, it releases you. You
Mm.
will have more energy
Exactly.
by doing that. Why wouldn't you? Try
Mm.
it. Get
Yeah.
support to help you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, those are two very good steps. And I know this edition is going deep, and I'm pretty sure, Ashley, you can go a lot deeper, and probably we need to go a lot deeper so people can connect with you. So if you're watching this, if you're listening in, and this is really resonating, just connect with Ashley. And she is on Facebook. She has a one-woman show that I'm dying to see. It's a live stream show, and she also has her website where you can find a lot of information. And so you generously also offered some things, Ashley, here for the people listening in or watching this talk show. So what is it exactly that they can get to go deeper?
Yeah, two ways. One, to have I call it a discovery call with me.
Mm.
And because this is intimate stuff,
Mm.
and I'm just devoted to aligning with women that are ready to do this work. And so I devote an hour that we sit together, totally complimentary, for us just to discuss dynamics, what's happening, who are you, more of who I am, and the work that I do. So
Mm.
there's that offer, as well as a free ticket to experience my show. And we'll have all that information in the links in the comments below, I imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So check the comments here below for the links in order to get in touch with Ashley to book that complimentary discovery call or to get your ticket for the live show. When is your live show programmed, Ashley?
We're going to be scheduling them monthly. So the next one will be in August.
Okay, wonderful. So you have one every month. So if people can't make it for August, then they can come for September or October? Is that also a
Yes.
possibility, or
Yes.
is the free ticket only for the August edition?
No. When they can. When they
Okay,
can.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, beautiful. Great. Thank you so much, Ashleigh, for this amazing conversation, breaking boundaries in very different levels. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It is also for me opening things like, okay, there's some reflection work doing to be done here. And I really thank you for the work that you do, for everything that you bring to this world, for the gifts that you bring, and the support that you give also to other people that are working on their relationship with their mother, alone or together, whatever works or whatever is possible. And so, for everybody here listening, connect with Ashleigh. If there's anything you want to know about or anything you need to go deeper about, then just reach out for her. She's there for you. And thank you so much for being with us today. Hope to see you again next week. And bye for now. Take care.